I was Captain Blood, once a physician, and later the most feared pirate in the Caribbean, and I learned that kingdoms beneath the black flag were never built by courage alone. They were forged through discipline, flawless seamanship, ruthless strategy, and extraordinary engineering, proving that the greatest pirate captains conquered empires long before the first cannon ever fired.
Enjoy the video, and don't forget to subscribe.
Trace your finger along the map from Barbados toward Tortuga, and picture the year 1687 as the smell of rotting oak, boiling pine tar, damp hemp rigging, stale bilge water, burned charcoal, and salt blown from the Caribbean drifted across the morning air while snapping canvas echoed above my head. I am Captain Blood, though the Crown once knew me only as Peter Blood, physician, prisoner, and unwilling rebel before fortune reshaped my fate beneath the black horizon. Every deck plank beneath my boots had been cut from seasoned white oak nearly 4 inches thick, supported by curved futtocks joined with hand-forged iron spikes exceeding 11 inches in length, while the hull's pronounced tumble-home strengthened the ship against incoming shot and reduced the chance of boarding during desperate engagements. Before every campaign we completed, careful careening upon secluded beaches, scraping away barnacles with iron blades before forcing twisted oakum deep into every seam using heavy caulking irons and sealing the hull beneath boiling pine tar that cooled into a waterproof shield capable of surviving months beneath tropical seas. My men believed courage alone built pirate kingdoms, but I understood that discipline, engineering, and patience created power long before the first cannon fired. Each bronze culverin weighing nearly 2,000 pounds had been cast from an alloy containing roughly 88% copper and 10% tin with trace impurities, polished smooth inside the bore to reduce friction, while every charge contained coarse black powder blended from approximately 75% saltpeter, 15% charcoal, and 10% sulfur. Long before kings feared my name, I learned that empires collapsed, not from glorious battles alone, but from countless invisible preparations hidden beneath the smell of tar, sweat, and salt. I never dreamed of becoming one of the men whispered about in every tavern from Port Royal to Havana because I had once measured a patient's pulse instead of the range of a cannon. Yet the Caribbean rewarded adaptability more faithfully than honor. Every league across those waters revealed another governor willing to exchange justice for Spanish silver, another merchant eager to betray rivals, and another desperate sailor willing to sign articles of agreement promising equal shares, compensation for shattered limbs, strict discipline during battle, and death for theft committed against the crew. I studied every coastline as carefully as I had once studied anatomy, calculating prevailing trade winds, tidal currents, coral reefs, and hidden anchorages where a vessel of nearly 180 tons drawing around 12 feet of water could disappear from pursuing frigates. The strongest pirate kings never ruled through terror alone. They controlled intelligence, knowing exactly when the annual treasure fleets departed Cartagena, Veracruz, or Portobello, how many escorts accompanied them, how heavily each merchantman was armed, and which colonial officials secretly accepted bribes. I built my reputation by striking only when mathematics favored victory. A broadside was not random violence, but carefully timed mechanics. The glowing vent ignited the priming powder. Flame rushed through the touch hole into the main charge. Expanding gases accelerated the iron round shot along the polished bore in milliseconds before the projectile smashed into enemy oak planking, crushing timber fibers into razor-sharp splinters that often killed more sailors than the cannonball itself. Every successful engagement increased my influence until captains twice my age willingly lowered their pride before my judgment, believing that wherever Captain Blood sailed, fortune itself followed beneath black canvas. Soon entire flotillas sought my guidance because survival demanded more than bravery. I inspected every mast, yard, dead-eye, chain plate, and standing stay before leaving harbor, knowing that a single cracked block or frayed hemp shroud barely an inch thick could bring down a topmast during a squall and doom every soul aboard. Our carpenters carried adzes, augers, corking mallets, spare tree nails, and barrels of heated tar, because a pirate king who neglected maintenance would soon command nothing but wreckage drifting toward the reefs. I preferred swift frigates and powerful sloops with fine entries and balanced tumble-home, vessels capable of carrying more than 20 guns while still outrunning heavier ships of the line. Letters of marque had once transformed respectable captains into privateers, yet I had watched too many governors discard loyal men the moment peace returned. That lesson hardened my heart. I trusted written agreements among my own crew more than royal promises sealed with wax. Whenever we sighted a Spanish convoy, I first judged the sea state, wind direction, cloud cover, and angle of the afternoon sun before committing to battle. A favorable beam wind could increase our speed by precious knots, allowing us to rake an enemy from astern where fewer guns could answer. The gun captains rammed powder bags, felt wads, iron shot, and final wadding with disciplined precision before running each carriage forward until the breaching rope strained against its iron bolts. At my signal, the linstocks descended together. Sulfur smoke exploded across the deck. Bronze guns recoiled violently, and the concussion rolled through every timber as shattered planks, broken knees, splintered beams, and collapsing bulwarks transformed a proud warship into a floating ruin within moments, proving that preparation always defeated reckless courage. Victory brought wealth beyond anything I had imagined as a physician, yet gold alone never created pirate kings because treasure attracted envy with greater certainty than sharks followed blood. I watched seasoned captains destroy lifelong friendships over a single chest containing Spanish 8 escudo coins whose combined weight exceeded 100 pounds, every glittering piece stamped beneath royal dies and milled to prevent clipping. I insisted every prize be inventoried beneath armed supervision, each musket counted, every barrel of powder weighed, each bale of indigo, cacao, tobacco, or cochineal recorded before shares were distributed according to our articles of agreement. Fairness preserved fleets more effectively than fear. Even so, spies flourished in every harbor. Tavern keepers listened for drunken boasts, merchants quietly informed governors, and naval officers patiently assembled squadrons designed specifically to hunt men like me. I answered with constant movement. We rarely anchored twice in the same bay, often sailing beneath moonlight with lanterns extinguished while leadsmen repeatedly sounded the depth using marked lines to avoid unseen shoals. During violent storms, every sailor knew his station without orders. Reef points shortened the canvas, topgallants came down, preventer braces secured the yards, pumps worked continuously against leaking seams, and helmsmen fought towering seas that struck the bow with enough force to shake every futtock deep within the hull. Many believed pirate kings feared only the Royal Navy, but I learned the sea itself judged every captain without mercy. Wind ignored reputation. Waves respected no flag, and one overlooked weakness hidden beneath layers of oak, tar, hemp, and iron could erase years of triumph before sunrise, leaving only scattered wreckage drifting across an uncaring ocean. I eventually understood that the rise of every pirate king carried within it the seed of inevitable decline, because success encouraged complacency, while governments slowly replaced panic with calculation. England, France, Spain, and the Dutch Republic strengthened their Caribbean squadrons, launching faster frigates armed with disciplined crews drilled until loading cycles became almost mechanical. Their officers studied our habits as carefully as I studied theirs, charting hidden coves, questioning captured sailors, intercepting coded correspondence, and rewarding informants with silver that tempted even hardened buccaneers. I answered by reducing unnecessary battles and relying upon deception instead of brute force. More than once I flew foreign colors until the final moments before engagement, closing the distance while appearing harmless before my true ensign climbed the halyard. Those precious minutes often decided whether my boarding parties crossed first or received devastating broadsides. Boarding itself demanded ruthless precision. Grappling hooks bit into enemy railings. Heavy hemp hawsers tightened between hulls. Boarding nets were hacked apart with cutlasses, pistols fired only once before becoming clubs, and boarding axes split doors reinforced with oak frames and iron straps. Every foot gained across a blood-soaked deck cost strength, ammunition, and irreplaceable veterans. I never mistook slaughter for victory. A captured ship intact was worth far more than a burning wreck, because her cargo, spars, anchors, boats, sails, blocks, cordage, and bronze cannon could be sold or absorbed into my growing fleet. That practical thinking allowed my influence to spread farther than reckless captains who measured greatness only by the number of enemies they killed. In the Caribbean, survival belonged not to the fiercest pirate, but to the one who understood that discipline, preparation, engineering, and patience outweighed fury every time. I have been called outlaw, pirate, rebel, physician, and king of desperate men, yet none of those titles mattered as much as the choices made before each battle. The pirate kings did not rise through luck alone. They mastered ships, wind, discipline, navigation, logistics, and the weaknesses of empires until the Caribbean itself seemed to bend beneath their sails. I was Captain Blood, and I learned that every kingdom built upon the sea is always one storm away from disappearing forever.